The Sentinel's armor had been silent for 300 years. It stood in the center of the galactic archive, a relic from the first contact wars when humanity had been nothing more than a footnote in the galaxy's vast history. Dozens of species had tried to bond with it. The proud Velkari warriors, the telepathic Gen Collective, even the silicon-based Orcs who claimed they could interface with any technology. All had failed. The Biotech armor remained dormant, its obsidian surface reflecting the disappointed faces of those who couldn't unlock its power. William stood before it now, his xenoarchaeology credentials dangling from his neck, his hands hovering over a datapad. "The readings are consistent with previous attempts," he said, glancing at Melissa. "No neural activity, no energy signatures. It's as dead as it's been since the end of the wars." Melissa wasn't listening. She stared at the armor with an intensity that made William uncomfortable. Her flight suit was still scorched from their narrow escape from the Krell invasion fleet. Half the station's population had evacuated, but she'd insisted on coming here first, to the archive, to this relic that every expert in the galaxy had declared useless. "The Krell will breach the station in 40 minutes, William continued, his voice tight with barely controlled panic. "We need to leave now." "Not yet," Melissa said. "Not yet?" William's voice cracked. "Melissa, there's a war fleet out there with enough firepower to crack this station like an egg. The last transport leaves in 20 minutes. If we're not on it, then we die," Melissa finished calmly. She stepped closer to the armor, close enough to touch. "But so does everyone else who didn't evacuate. The refugees on Tarsus Prime, the colony ships near the outer rim. The Krell won't stop here." William knew she was right. The Krell hegemony had swept through 7 sectors in as many months, and humanity's scattered colonies had no defense against their battle-organic ships. The combined fleet had been shattered at the Battle of Kepler Station. Earth itself was preparing for siege. "And you think this thing will help?" William gestured at the armor. "It hasn't responded to anyone in 3 centuries. What makes you think?" "Because everyone else asked it for power," Melissa interrupted. She placed her hand on the armor's chest plate. The surface was cool, almost uncomfortably so. They wanted it to make them stronger, faster, better. They wanted to be chosen. The armor remained still under her touch. William checked his chronometer. 38 minutes. "Please, Melissa." She closed her eyes. William watched her shoulders rise and fall with a deep breath. When she spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. But in the vast emptiness of the archive, every word echoed. "I don't care if you choose me," she said to the armor. "I don't care if I'm worthy. I don't even care if I survive this." She opened her eyes and William saw something fierce burning there. "But those people out there, they deserve a chance. They deserve someone to stand between them and oblivion. So if you have any fight left in you, any purpose beyond gathering dust in this tomb," she pressed her forehead against the cold metal, "let's finish this." For a heartbeat, nothing happened. William was already reaching for her arm, ready to drag her to the transport by force if necessary. Then the armor moved. It wasn't dramatic, no explosion of light, no thunderous awakening. The surface simply rippled, like water disturbed by a stone. The obsidian sheen flowed like liquid, and William stumbled backward as the armor began to disassemble itself, piece by piece, wrapping around Melissa's body. She gasped as the biotech interfaced with her nervous system, centuries of dormant protocols flooding through her synapses. The armor remembered. It remembered the first contact wars, remembered standing against impossible odds, remembered the human soldiers who had worn it before, each one knowing they probably wouldn't survive, each one standing anyway. It had rejected thousands because they sought power. Melissa had offered sacrifice. The transformation completed in seconds. Where a young xenoarchaeologist had stood, now there was a sentinel, humanity's ancient answer to galactic warfare. The armor's surface shifted through colors, settling on a deep crimson that seemed to pulse with contained energy. Neural interfaces crowned her head like a halo of light. Weapon systems emerged from the armor's surface, technologies that predated modern warfare, yet somehow felt more alive than any contemporary weapon. William's datapad exploded with readings. "Impossible," he breathed. "The energy signature, it's off the scale." "Melissa, how do you feel?" She flexed her fingers and the motion sent ripples of power through the air. When she spoke, her voice carried a harmonic undertone, as if the armor itself was speaking through her. "Like I can finish this." The station shuddered as the Krell fleet opened fire. Warning klaxons blared through the archive. William grabbed his datapad, but Melissa was already moving toward the exterior airlock, each step resonating with purpose. The transport, William started. "We'll leave on time," Melissa said. She looked back at him, and for a moment he saw his friend behind the fearsome visage of the sentinel armor. "Get everyone out, William. Tell them Earth hasn't forgotten how to fight. You can't face a fleet alone." The armor's weapon systems activated fully, casting the archive in crimson light. Melissa smiled, though William couldn't see it behind the helmet that had formed over her face. "I'm not alone," she said. "I'm carrying 300 years of humanity's defiance." The airlock opened, exposing them to the void. The Krell warships hung in space like mechanical leviathans, their weapons charging for the killing blow. Melissa stepped into the vacuum, the armor systems adapting instantly, and William watched as she launched herself toward the fleet. Behind her, the last transport ship detached from the station, carrying refugees toward safety. Ahead of her, the Krell hegemony learned an ancient lesson. Humanity didn't need to be chosen. Humanity chose to stand, and that made all the difference. The Biotech armor had waited 3 centuries for someone who understood that courage wasn't about being worthy of power. It was about being willing to pay the price. William watched from the viewport as crimson light exploded across the Krell formation, and he knew the galaxy was about to remember why humanity's ancient sentinels had been feared. They didn't fight for glory. They fought to finish it.